Hi there everybody, this is Oscars from HikeMatch, and in this review we'll check out the Teton Sports Scout 3400 internal frame backpack. I've owned this pack for a few months now, and so far I've hiked roughly 100 kilometers with this pack, or 4 full days of hiking. So this review will be basically based on those experiences while I was hiking. Anyway, if you want to skip to a specific section in this video, you can pause the video right here, and I'll put the table of contents right over here. My final verdict will be at the end of the video, so you can skip to that. Anyway, without any further ado, let's get right into the review. So the Teton Sports Scout 3400 isn't a new pack. In fact, it's been around for at least 10 years, well, from what I could find online. Yet, as it stands today, it's still the most popular internal frame backpack, at least on Amazon. So I wanted to purchase it and test it out in real life for myself to see whether it's worth all the hype or not. In another video, I reviewed the Teton Sports Explorer 4000, which is essentially very similar to this pack, just slightly larger. It weighs 300 grams more, and it has a bunch of different packing features compared to the Scout 3400. But when you look at the big picture, it's basically the same pack, the same materials, same everything, just slightly different and slightly larger. So let's begin by quickly covering all the specs on the Scout 3400. In terms of weight, it weighs roughly around 2 kilograms. It's a nice improvement from the Explorer 4000, which weighs around 300 grams more. However, and that's a big however, in the same price range you can find similar internal frame backpacks that weigh 2, 3, or sometimes even 500 grams less. So if you're into ultralight hiking, the Teton Scout 3400 just won't cut it. In size, it's 70 centimeters in height, 40 centimeters in width, and 30 centimeters in depth, depending on how much stuff you pack in there and what kind of stuff you'll actually be bringing. But generally, you'll be able to pack around 55 liters of stuff inside, which is 10 liters less compared to the Explorer 4000. Yet, from my own experience, I saw that the 55-liter Scout 3400 is plenty enough for me. On 2-day trips, there's still a ton of room left inside. If you're cautious about what you're bringing, I think that the Scout 3400 can fit even a week's worth of stuff in there. And now let's look at all the materials that Teton has used for this pack. The orange part of the pack is made from a diamond pattern 600D polyester, and the rest from 600D Oxford polyester. These fabrics feel very thick, and I wouldn't be surprised if they'll last for a really long time. In fact, I've read a lot of reviews where people said that the fabric is still good after 5 or even more years. That's the thing that I like about the Teton Sports Explorer 4000 and the Scout 3400. They're both built to last. On the Explorer 4000, I noticed some loose stitching on the middle of the backpack. The good news is that I haven't found anything similar on the Scout 3400. Everything seems to be stitched together really well, but I do have to mention that the seams aren't sealed, which means that they'll let through some water. Also, there's a lot of loose threads dangling around all over the pack. Nothing serious, but it looks like they just don't go the extra mile on the production quality control as you'd see on more premium backpacks. To test the water resistance on the Scout 3400, I'll pour some water on the fabric, wait for it to soak in for a few minutes, and then I'll check whether anything's wet on the inside. I already did this test on the Explorer 4000, and I was actually surprised to see that the fabric is very water resistant, but we'll double check that right now. Alright, so the water has been there for over 3 minutes now. Now I'll clean it up and see whether anything's wet inside. I'll use some paper towels over here. So from the outside, it looks like the fabric has soaked up a little bit of water. Inside, over here, it's completely dry. Nothing's wet, not a tiny bit. And this fabric seems a bit damp compared to this one, which is completely dry. So this fabric is very good at resisting water. By the way, if it starts raining cats and dogs, you can always pull out the built-in rain cover, which is accessible at the bottom of the pack. It covers the whole pack nicely, but if you attach a large sleeping mat on the outside, the cover might not fit anymore, so just keep that in mind. Continuing with the durable and thick fabrics, Teton has also used very nice and beefy straps, buckles, and zippers, which is a good thing if you're looking for something durable. Although the buckles and zippers are unbranded, they do feel very well made, and so far I haven't had any issues with them. All the zippers open and close quite smoothly, except for the one at the bottom of the pack for the sleeping bag compartment. There's a fabric cover on top of it, which sometimes gets stuck in the zipper, especially if the backpack is packed full. I noticed this exact same issue with the Explorer 4000. But now, let's cover arguably the most important factor for any backpack, the comfort. From my own experiences, the Scout 3400 feels very comfortable, even under heavier loads. Let's start with the hip belt. So it's adjustable between 72 and 155 centimeters in diameter or waist size. I'm about 86 centimeters in waist, so for me it fits perfectly. The hip belt is very stiff and it's nicely padded, which is great for keeping most of the weight on your hips, not your shoulders. The leftover straps can't really be secured, so if you're somewhat thin like me, at least I'd like to think that I'm somewhat thin, you'll have to deal with the strap ends dangling around a bit. The hip belt can also be tightened on each side for bringing the backpack closer to your hips, which is great. What's good about the Scout 3400 is that the torso length, or the length between your shoulders and hips, is adjustable between 38 and 50 centimeters. I'm roughly 45 centimeters in torso length, and I keep it on the largest setting. By the way, when I received the pack, the torso length adjustment was looped only through 4 loops. This made the shoulder straps move around a lot, so looping them through 5 loops instead fixed the issue. Now, one thing that I don't like about the shoulder straps is that when your back starts to sweat a bit, the shoulder straps start to make an annoying squeaking sound. Unfortunately, this issue also comes with the Explorer 4000. It's not a big issue for some people, but it's a big issue for me personally, because I like to stay quiet when hiking, so that I can see some of the wildlife. The squeaking sound makes it much more harder to do. If you want to remove the internal frame, you can do that. It's connected to the exterior of the pack at the back. Just open the 2 Velcro clips and slide the aluminum rails out. If you do that, you can just throw the pack into a washing machine. And now let's check out the interior of the Scout 3400. At the bottom, there's a sleeping bag compartment, which unzips at the bottom and is divided from the rest of the interior. The whole compartment feels a bit tight, but I was able to squeeze my winter sleeping bag in there. If you don't want to use that compartment separately, you can unzip the divider in the middle and the whole interior turns into one giant compartment. Inside, you'll also find a large pocket for water bladders up to 3 liters in size. There's also a hole on top of the back panel, which is meant for sliding the water bladder tube through. Personally, I don't use water bladders, so I can't really tell you whether it's a good system or not. And finally, at the top, there's an enclosed pocket for all the smaller items. I usually keep my wallet, keys, and electronics in there, because I don't need to access them all the time, and I don't want them to accidentally fall out. And finally, let's go over the exterior features on the Scout 3400. Let's start at the top. On the top and the middle, you'll find these tightening cords with which you can compress the bag if it isn't packed full. Or you can attach something to the pack with them, such as a rain jacket or something along those lines. At the top, there's also a large pocket for snacks and other items that you need to access quickly. It's a fairly large pocket, I'd say about 3 or 5 liters. At the middle of the pack, there's a zippered mesh pocket which looks larger than it actually is. I usually keep my water filter and water pouches in there, but it's a very tight fit. At the bottom, there's 2 compression straps and 2 loops for attaching a rope, a sleeping mat, or something similar. There's also these 2 tightening loops for attaching something else, such as ice picks, an axe, or something along those lines. At the sides, the setup is identical on each side. On the top, there's a fairly large pocket. On the bottom, there's a zippered mesh pocket for your water bottles. And at the side, there's these 2 loops for your trekking poles. I do love the pockets, but the trekking pole loops are too far apart, which means that my expensive black diamond trekking poles can fall out, and you don't want that to happen. Also, the water bottle pocket is too tight in my opinion, so it's very hard to put a 750 milliliter bottle in there, especially when the bag is packed very full. If you're hearing about Teton Sports for the first time, well, honestly, you're not alone. They aren't as popular as some of the more known brands, such as Osprey, Ray, or Z-Packs. But they aren't that much underground either. They're an American brand which has been around since 2005. And they've gotten a pretty good reputation for making affordable hiking gear that's at the same time very durable. The Scout 3400 comes with a limited lifetime warranty. It will cover manufacturing defects or defects in materials, but it won't cover accidents, normal wear, or misuse. Basically, it will cover only the most obvious defects, such as loose stitching, a faulty zipper, missing straps, or other faulty hardware. And now let's get into my final verdict on the Scout 3400. I think that it's a very good choice for beginner hikers. Now let me explain why. It's very affordable, everything is made with strength and durability in mind, it's built by a reliable brand, and this model has been around for basically a decade and has gotten mostly positive reviews. Yet it's not meant for serious long-distance hikers, with the main reason being the weight and the size. When you start hiking more, you tend to upgrade your gear to something more lighter and more compact. So a 55-liter backpack that weighs 2 kilograms is just too large and too heavy. You'll probably get something closer to 40 liters and something that weighs half the weight of the Scout 3400. But for someone who's just getting their feet wet, it will be very hard to find something as durable and as comfortable in the same price range. So in that regard, the Teton Sports Scout 3400 is an excellent choice. Anyway, that's about it for now. Thanks for watching, and what? Like and subscribe? Isn't that like kinda desperate and kinda weird for me to ask that in every video? I know? No, it's cool. Everybody does that. Oh, okay, gotcha. Oh, yeah. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to click the like and the subscribe button to not miss out on any of our future hiking gear videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. How was that? Pretty good, right? Too energetic? Nah, I think they'll get it. It was cool.